Well, it was a constant 30-mile-per-hour wind today, so I decided to film my bike with the WTB Byway tires I installed and talk about how I fixed the shifting issue this bike had. Also addressing how Sensah components are cross-compatible with Sram, as far as I can tell with my setup. It's crazy because I've ridden in the past with winds that fast, and then when you let go of the handlebars, your front wheel instantly turns and could cause you to wreck, so there is a certain cutoff point that I have where I just won't go out and ride. I have mostly stock components with my bike, but I have the Sram Rival 1X medium cage rear derailleur, and I also replaced the terrible Sunshine rear cassette with the Sram PG-1130 cassette, which has the exact same gearing, which is the 11 to 42 tooth cassette. This cassette works with Shimano freehub body, so there was no issues with compatibility with the stock wheel set the bike came with. I mentioned fixing the shifting issue this bike had when I first got it, and it eventually became so bad that it was almost unrideable. I've personally built 6 bikes from scratch and modified them frequently, so I can say with confidence I know how to set up derailleurs from start to finish and grasp their characteristics, especially when shifting becomes poor, but there's always the chase finding out what is causing shifting problems when it first happens. I went down the rabbit hole of possibly thinking the derailleur hanger was bent, the rear derailleur was bad, but also possibly the cassette was at fault. It was giving characteristics like the hanger was bent as I would adjust it and the low gears worked, but the high gears didn't, and vice versa. But when I looked at the rear cassette, I noticed just eyeballing it, the sprocket here was way closer to the next one up compared to all the other sprockets and their gaps. So I had a suspicion that the cassette was poor quality. I was at a family member's house in their garage. As you can see, this was as best as I could dial it in, and it would just jump back and forth in the last few gears. Also, the gears I did manage to adjust for correctly, the chain would be snagged by the individual teeth in the cog next to the one I was in, as they were just not straight at all. When the Sram cassette came in and I installed it, instantly the shifting was working again, and me questioning my mechanics immediately stopped. And then as you can see, there's just so much play in the Sunshine cassette, so I highly recommend getting rid of the Sunshine cassette the bike comes with as soon as you start having problems, or just right away when the bike comes in. Here's the State Bicycle stock rear derailleur, also known as the Sensah rear derailleur. It doesn't feel like it's poor quality or cheap. It feels nice, but I have 2 complaints. One's just regarding my personal style of riding. One is the barrel adjuster has teeth on it like it's supposed to fit in notches in the derailleur, but there's no notches in the body, as you can see, so there's no way of it not coming out of adjustment. And that is why I added the rubber washer, but that still doesn't 100% solve the issue. I know for a fact if you're casually riding on the road, it wouldn't be an issue with this rear derailleur, but I ride aggressively and off-road, so I feel like it would come out of adjustment easier. There apparently isn't a true clutch mechanism, just a tension spring adjustment, which I know even at its max setting doesn't keep the chain on. I would often get chain drops every time I went out, until I switched to the Sram derailleur, and now my chain drops are rare, if at all. I hope you enjoyed this video and I helped fix your shifting issues if you had any, and catch you in the next video.